as my plan for Hetty is to get her on the road and start using her with the family, pre-restoration, I thought it'd be a good idea to go around it and do a bit of an MOT check, all the lights, all that kind of stuff. That is all working, which is great, but what I did notice is that the tyres are a little bit worse for wear. Tons and tons of tread on them, but they are pretty old. So these tyres, they're not actually bad tyres necessarily, these Inter Turbos. They're made by Dakar, I think they are. I think that's the make. But what I was looking for the dot number, and as you can see on here, where did I find it? Here's the dot here, look. I'll tilt you up to one side. There, look, there's no actual number. So the reason is that I think they get to a certain age, or these are of a certain age, but these are also retread, or remolds as I used to call them. I think everyone else used to call them. These are retreads. So these are likely very old. They're either like farm tyres or army tyres. I don't really know. But either way, the tyres needed to be replaced. So I initially thought about getting these wheels stripped down, because there's nothing actually wrong with them. They are a bit rusty, a bit crusty. Spend 70 odd quid a wheel getting them blasted and then powder coated, which would cost me about 70 quid a wheel. Then the tyres. But then I thought, well, how much is a new wheel? So I decided to get, because I had to get new tyres anyway, I decided to get new wheels. So you'll be delighted to see, I've gone with a bit of a trend, and I have gone with some black modulars, which I think should look absolutely wicked on these. There's not a huge difference in height. I will roll it over in a second, you'll see. But these are wrapped in Falcon Wild Peaks. They're snow and muds, or mud and MT. I think they call them snow, mud and snow, whatever they're called. They're not 3 peaks, so these are not usable in like the Arctic journeys, all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't planning on doing Hetty, those kind of journeys. But as you'll see, if I roll it next to its original wheel, there's not a huge height difference at all. So these shouldn't cause much of a problem with regards to rubbing and all that kind of stuff. They should fit quite nicely. They are a slightly wider tyre. So these are sitting, I don't know if you can do this without this falling over. Will it do it? Yep, it will. They are a slightly wider tyre, but again, not massively wide. I think it can ruin these Land Rovers if you stick massively wide tyres on them. I think most of the forums and people I've spoken to said it can sort of tear apart your bearings and whatnot if you start putting something crazy on it. So I thought these would fit quite nicely. So I'm gonna, even though I've got tons more other stuff to do, I am actually gonna now change these because I want to see what it looks like on the car. So get the jack out and start changing some wheels. So these discs are practically, I mean, there's like no lip at all, I would say. They've not really been used at all. They were put on, serviced at some point, and then it's just stood. So I'm not particularly worried about those. There's a lot of cobwebs on here, which is like a thick mat of these cobwebs and stuff. But the brakes are otherwise in good shape. I'm just going to get a brush, actually, and see if I can brush that out. Kind of like a stiff bristle brush, really. Oops. But I don't see there being much of a problem. Right. I have bought new nuts. I'm hoping they're the right size. We'll just double check. I've not opened them up yet. Yes, they look right. Yep, all good. Right, so I need 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get a wheel in place. Right, okie dokie. Oh. Heavy wheels then. There we go. They do stick out a little bit more. The offset pushes it out a little bit more, but not a vast amount, so we should be good. But that looks pretty cool. I am very pleased with those. I think they're very fitting for these cars. Plenty of space for brakes and cooling and whatnot. It does sit out quite proud, which is okay. I think they're going to look quite cool like that. So, yeah. Whew. Another 3 to do, and we'll see what it looks like. Right, and there we go. 4 new wheels fitted to Hetty. Torqued up to 115 Newton meters I found on Tinternet. So, really pleased with these. They went on really easy. I managed to check all the brakes on the way round as well, so all the brakes are absolutely fine. Got loads of pads on the rear and the front. The discs are fine, front and rear as well. They'll probably make a bit of a scrapey noise as I'm using it for the first time, because it's not been used for a while. So the wheels I got from 4x4 Tyres. Not sponsored, but I bought my wheels and tyres from them for Frank before. So 4x4tyres.co.uk.com, I think, something like that. I'll stick a link in the description. And they had a Black Friday deal on as well. So I managed to get 4 of these black modular steel wheels and these Falcons. The size I ended up going for was 265 75/16s, and I've read just quite a few people have actually used those, to be fair, so you can drive yourself nuts going from opinion to opinion as to what to get. I knew this offset would stick out with these wheels. That was planned, so don't worry. It does look like they've got one hell of a protrusion from the car at the moment. But I think it looks great. I'm also going to be sticking on some flared wheel arches onto these anyway. So no drama. I'm going to get the wide kit that you can get and fudge it onto here from the Defender, I think. So that's the plan. But yeah, 4x4, depending on when you watch this, when you see this video, they had a Black Friday deal on, which meant delivered, including new set of nuts as well. I got the tyres and the wheels for just under £1,000, which I think is really, really good for a whole brand new set of 4 wheels. Now, obviously the car came with 5. I have one on the bonnet. I'm not really putting one back on the bonnet. I will be putting one on the back. For the time being, it's just going to be in the way. I don't have a frame to put it on, so it's going to be another wheel in the way. So I'm going to buy that separately when the time comes to actually fit that rear swing away for the back. So for the time being, this is all ready to go. The engine starts and runs really, really well. I have now checked all the electrics, as I mentioned earlier, and they are working fine as well. Even the windscreen wipers work. The only thing I don't have is washer jets, and there's not even a washer jet bottle reservoir, as far as I can see. I don't know. but I'm going to investigate that a little bit further because it seems to go from the inside. So maybe there's a washer jet bottle on the inside, I don't know. Somebody tell me. So I will dig into that a little bit later. But other than that, everything actually works now. I'm looking forward to getting this on the road and having some fun. So in the last episode, managed to get this running really, really nicely on unleaded after years and years and years of running on LPG. It actually turns over first crack on the key. I'm really chuffed to bits with it. There's no more leaking out the carbs. It's obviously just a stuck float valve, and now that's working lovely. So I'm not going to mess about with taking out any of the other rest of the LPG system for the time being because I just want to use the car. So what I have got is a few bits and pieces that I need to use for servicing. Some of it I'm going to do today, some of it I'm not. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff that I bought. And again, things for this thing are absolutely dirt cheap. We have one of the 2 air filters that comes with a couple of seals. We've got the 2 auxiliary belts, one for the alternator going up and the water pump, and one for the power steering by the looks of it on its own. So there's 2 of those I need to fit. We've got the second air filter. We've got a fuel filter. I'm not sure what these look like actually, because that goes in that fixed system, doesn't it? So I don't have a knife to hand, obviously. That would be useful, wouldn't it? So what does this look like? Okay, so it's one of those cartridge style fuel filter, like that. And that comes with some seals as well, which is wonderful. And we've got a new sump bolt. Fucking hell. What else have we got? And then we've got new oil filter. And that comes with a new washer as well, which is great. So I'll leave that together. I'm not doing the oil today. I have bought 20 litres of oil for this car. The reason I got 20 is because I need to do an oil change on this. I'll need to put oil into the 3.9 that I'm rebuilding, and I'll need to put oil into Clifford as well. So these are 5.7 litres each. They've all got the same sump, so they've got the same amount. So they're all going to totally use about 17 litres of oil. So I thought it's a big tank, and I've got a pump thing, so it's great. And then I've got 8 of these bad boys, spark plugs. So I'm going to start probably with the spark plugs because I'm very keen to see what the state of the plugs are. The fact that it runs so bloody well, I would be surprised if they're all fouled up because it does run particularly well. So I'm going to start with the plugs and see what it looks like. Get to these HT leads and see what size it takes. Okay, not over torqued, which is nice. Look at that, right. That's a really good plug. That's in really good condition, to be fair. I can't imagine these are very old, but we're going to change them anyway. So that is what we're going to do. Now they do come pre-gapped, these spark plugs, but I am going to double check them anyway. Interestingly enough, they were in fact not right. So quite a big difference in fact actually. They probably came in for about half the gap they need to be. So I've just adjusted those quickly and now we can crack on. So they're all done. About half, there we go, I'd say. And then, where's the plug lead? Here we go. These plug leads look pretty good, to be fair. I think they're probably not that old. Like that. Okay, and gets clipped. Oops, drop the the little thingy bob. I'll do that in a minute. Let's get the other ones out. Likewise, different to the other one, but again, whoop, not that bad, I'd say. And again, not an old plug. Well, certainly not a high mileage plug, is kind of what I mean. Let's get this one on. How are we looking? Bit more oily this side, but again, not much different. There we go. Right. That's better. Right. Okie dokie. So that's the plugs. Nicely. Okie doke. What should we do next? We need to get the air filters back on, don't we? Now I've got all these linkages working at the back. Right. Rogue spark plug. So this is the air filter unit. Really rudimentary, wicked thing. So it's literally held on with some clips, and then we pop in some new filters. I think, do you do one each end? Does it literally flip out? Let's have a look. Like that. It's been screwed in that end. I'm not sure whether it's supposed to have been screwed in, but I just saw a screwdriver somewhere. I think it's supposed to have a hook on the end here. There we go. That's that one. That comes out. And there's your filter, look. So literally undo that bolt. One of the rubber seals, which is broken on this one, goes here. And one which is broken on this side goes there. Lovely. So, worth doing, I would say. Let's get a little 10mm socket on that, I think. No, it's 11mm. Right. There we go. That can actually stay in there for the minute. Right, let's get the parts over here that we're going to use. So on this one, we've got two new seals. So we take off the top retaining plate and washer. Literally broken apart. So that always makes you wonder how old these filters are, because that is literally falling apart as well. And then we've got that, which is obviously falling apart as well. So let's get one of these in. Now they're not made oval, so they're not going to naturally want to sit flat, which is always going to be an interesting thing, but we can get it in, look. Get this in on top. Like that. Quite a tight fit actually. And then we'll get another one on here before it decides to pop off. Like that. Need to sit flat against that plate. That. And then that will go into there. Definitely not an OEM fit, let's just say that. There we go. So it should sit quite fat, although that's bent down there. Okay, so that's one in. Which way around did that go? Not, it went that way. That gets popped in. Tighten the screw up. Which was actually doing something. Not a huge amount, to be fair. And there we go. That's one end done. Okay. And then rinse and repeat. Like that. Done. And then that, it's in the rubber seal. Oh, he isn't there. That's fine. Thought I'd lost that then. Rubber seal. Air filter's done. Onto the car. So there are two bolts at the back here. Let me move you around. Okie dokie. So there are two bolts that this sits on, here and here. Now, they are what looks to have been, like engine covers, got a push-on stud. So that's got a push-on stud and a rubber washer. That one is missing the rubber washer. So it is just a rubber washer, isn't it? Yeah, so what I might do, I'm just going to quickly see if I've got any spare rubber washers that are big enough to put on that. And the thickness is about right. But I'm not sure whether that's going to go over the stud. It might. Yep, that's fine. That'll do. Lovely. And then this sits over the top. I know I would imagine this sits over the top and would normally, this would have some kind of flex stud on it to push it on and for it to stay there. So I'll look that up at some point. But for the time being, I'm just going to pop it on in place and into the right place. It goes above, like that. And yep, so it's in the right place now, which is fine. So that is the air intake here, going in, split into the two air filters, going one to each carb. Okay, now it will be held in place by the actual intake tubes. And there's one either side. Now, what I did think was a bit perplexing is that these carbs, where the LPG system runs in, they've got spacers which push these things out by quite a lot. And I wonder whether or not these are fitting in properly. I'm half tempted to take these blocks out and get these in place. They're not doing anything. Literally, they are just dumb hoses. Do I get them out while I've got the chance? It is a stud. So that is very annoying. Right, so for the time being, it's gonna have to go back on. Here we go, right. Let's pop this back in place again. Out the way. Snuffled up on something. Yeah, wiper, washer fluid thing. Let's not have that happen, because I want to try and fix those. Okay, that one's on. Yep, they're both on. Right. try this again. So, we've got one section here sits over this O-ring, which is in perfectly fine condition, and this one pushes into this rubber seal there. So I'm going to loosely put it in there first just to see how much that's pulled over, because obviously I need to get that side in as well. Here we go. Right, so it's plugs, air filters. Right, next is belts, because these are a right old mess, these things. The amount of rubber and crap all over these pumps and stuff. Not great. Not entirely sure that alternators are actually doing anything either, but I haven't got a chance to check it today. I'm running out of time. So I'm going to literally slacken off the alternator and we're going to get that one done. And then if I can get to that, I'll need to do that one whilst this one is off. Let's get that one off. Yikes. Oh, he's on the floor. We are just going to double check. It's a Gates belt, so it's a decent belt. It's a 6229. Let's double check I've got a 6229. I'll find out in a sec. That's the thin one. That's the big fat thick one. So let's have a look. Yep, that feels good to me. So that is ready to go back on in a minute. It does feel thicker, which is interesting. So yeah, that might cause a problem. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I'm just going to have a quick fit. Seems to fit quite nicely. Yeah, I think that's right. Probably find that other belt was wrong. Heaven forbid. Right. Now we just got to get that one off there, which looks like a 13mm socket. I'm going to grab that. There we go. Right. That's that one done. Let's get the distributor back on. Distributor cap back on. There we go. New one on. Onto there, and onto there. Okay. That good. That good. Right, so now I need to do the ones in here. So that's this one here. That's pretty tight. Okay, so we've just got fuel filter to do and the oil, which I'm going to do the next time I come back to the yard, because I am running out of time. So I am going to start the engine. I am also going to move this out the way though. Right, let's give this a try, shall we? needs a bit of choke. Oops. Okay, one's okay. Belts are running okay. We're all good. It's a bit quieter with the air filter back on again as well. Right. Little bit of choke on. Look at that rev. Oh, we've got belt slip. Maybe I've got the wrong belt on. Weird. But this is tight enough. There's a lot of slack there. Tell you what though, the alternator's working now. Lovely. Wait for all the carbon monoxide alarms to come on. But yeah, running okay. Yeah, it's slacked off. That's too loose. So it's my bad. I need to do that up a bit more then. Let's quickly do that. There we go. Oops. That's fine. Okay. Seems to start and run okay. Okay. Fuel filter next, but that'll be next time you see me. So during the Black Friday sale, I got myself some of these wheel arch extensions for the Defender from Vitesse, I think it was I got them from. Good deal actually, got a pair just for the rear for the time being. They are different to the fronts anyway. Well, they look very similar to the fronts actually, but to see whether I could get Defender arches onto the series tubs. And it's not particularly straightforward. As you can see from the shape, this would need to be up roundabouts here. Now I knew there'd be a bit of cutting, but that is quite a lot of cutting, to be fair. And if we have a look up there, it gets very, very close. You can't really see, it gets very close to the upper part of the arch itself. So whether or not I use this, I'm not sure. I have got an alternative, which I'm probably going to lean on, I think, if I can find it. Where did I put it? Is this stuff. Now, I bought this for Frank and never used it. But this is like a stick-on arch, wheel arch. It's obviously not just stick it on. You would stick it on and rivet it or bolt it on, all that kind of stuff. But this would then stick out around about, what 6 centimetres, something along those lines. So nowhere near as much, but enough probably to stop all the mud flicking up the side of the car all the time. And I think it would look quite nice because it formed the actual shape of the existing wheel arch. And I think it's just going to be a better bet. So I'm going to cut a piece to fit, and I'm going to stick it on for the time being, see what it looks like. If it sits okay, because we've got quite a large flat area here, I'm worried that it might sag down slightly. But if that's okay, then I will drill it and sort of penny washer them and pop them onto the actual wheel arch permanently. So we'll cut a piece now and whack it onto the arch and see what it looks like. I'm literally going to start at the point where it sort of starts curving round, like that. I've tidied it up a bit. That is what it's going to look like on the car. That's okay. I kind of like that. I could get it to curl under, do like a curved piece, but I think that's not going to be very easy with this. I think it would look a bit odd. But that isn't too bad at all. So that's what it looks like. Personally, I think that's okay. I think it looks all right. I think it was right to not try and bring it down, down here, because I think it would start to pull away. So I might trim that up, try to trim that up a bit, give it a bit of a shape, like a curved shape up. But that sits on really nicely. So, offers a bit of protection to the arch as well. Pleased with that. That's way better than I thought it was going to look. So, the wheel does still stick out by about the same again. I'm not really that fussed about it. I've seen cars sticking out way further than that. Nice. That's pretty good. I don't know what the front's going to look like. I've got two sets of these wheel arch kits. So this one might end up rubbing. I'm not sure. When I get it on here, it might end up rubbing a bit. But because it does sit, I think when I turn the steering wheel in, because that's quite a deep dish, the profile sits the wheel quite far out. So when it turns in, it might touch that, especially when it goes over a bump. So that one, I might have to have it so the wheel arch, the arch comes up to about here, something like that, rather than going all the way down to there. But we will see. Yeah, I think it's going to be best to have it to about here. But let's see. I don't want it to look stupid, but yeah, quite pleased with that.